earlier this week, it was found out that Poly Network, which is a multi-chain solution for decentralized finance, was hacked to the tune of $610 million, which put it up there not only as only one of the greatest cryptocurrency hacks ever, but also one of the greatest bank heists in world history. But the hacker was found out. Some of their personal information was kind of leaked to different teams out there. And then the Poly Network team also realized that this hacker had nowhere to place the $610 million that they had stolen. And so during the entire week, we had a really fun game of cat and mouse on chain where the hacker would send messages to the Poly Network team and say, hey, maybe I could take some of the funds and give you some other funds back. And then there was talks about him swapping the network out in a hard fork and then using the funds that he stole to start his own network and seeing if he could attract users and keeping those funds alive. He also tried to move some funds into different projects and try to leak them out. End of the day, can't really do much with it. And so he decided to give back almost the entirety of the funds, I think basically all of the funds at this point. And then he was awarded a $500,000 bug bounty for his decision to return those funds, which doesn't really look like a bug bounty to me. So, of course, we talked about white hat and black hat hackers the other day on the show. The difference being black hat hackers hack for the money, white hat hackers hack to provide efficacy in this space. But they decided to give him money anyways. Zach, I want to throw this to you. Really fun story compared to other cryptocurrency stories or DeFi exploits in general. It's like a good ending, but also really, really strange. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, and it really did sort of captivate the imaginations of the mainstream. We saw a lot of mainstream coverage of this hack over the last few days. This idea that you could steal 600 million and not do anything with it, you have to give it back. It's kind of an odd conclusion. It really speaks to, I think, maybe the robustness of these crypto systems, right? You know, here's a bug. It was a major heist. And what are you going to do with that money? I mean, it's all trackable, it's all traceable, and he wasn't doing a good enough job erasing his footprints as he was fleeing the scene, and now he's being recast as a white hat hacker who shall be rewarded with a bug bounty. So a lot of weird things at play, a lot of unexpected elements at play, and I think it caused a lot of people outside the space to take a look and say, hey, what's going on with this big $600 million heist? That's crazy. So just the fact that this sort of captivated everyone from the BBC to NPR to New York Times speaks to, I think, the interest in this space, and still sort of the fact that there's a lot of novel things in the world of DeFi that the world is kind of waking up to. So that to me was the interesting thing to see, but there's so much to go on. There's just so much here. So I'm going to toss it to David and see what his thoughts are. I think David, are you preparing a piece on this? Because I would love to read it.
I've actually, unfortunately, been working on other stuff all week related to just flagged 50th anniversary of the end of Bretton Woods this weekend. But on this poly hack, the thing that's interesting to me, and it sounds like maybe you guys hit on it this week in the discussion of white versus black hat, but I'm not sure. I feel like with crypto, what's interesting is that and we're seeing it right now, that white hat versus black hat distinction breaks down to some extent because there's always a bug bounty, right? The chain is the bug bounty. And if you can break it, maybe you get a reward. And the intent, I think, maybe matters a little bit less than if you're an actual white hat trying to get into, say, I don't know, Salesforce or something, and they have a published bug bounty, and maybe you're working in like a pre-production environment or something like that. So Dan Kuhn, our opinion writer yesterday, had a good piece pointing out that each of these attacks, as they happen along the way of the evolution of crypto, strengthens the systems. And Zach, I take your point that the fact that it got rolled back or returned, that there's some strength that's already there, but people are now going to repair the flaw that made this hack possible. They've repaired the flaws that have made previous hacks possible. So every hack, like, it's just getting fixed a little bit more and making things safer for the future. So I think that's really an important thing to think about here.
Yeah, I'll jump in and just say how great it is that we can set up systems with the right incentives that can curtail behavior without having to, bring in law enforcement or whatever. Like, you just need the right incentives in the system and people behave in a good way. Like, this person offered $500K and decides to take him up on this offer. There are also, things at play with the decentralized finance system where he just couldn't offload this money. We're presuming that's why he decided to take this other thing. But also, this is going to incentivize more people down the road to look for bugs and potentially get a reward. As long as there's no incentive for people to put this money in DeFi because maybe they'll be blacklisted or maybe it's difficult or whatever, and you have this monetary system helping them find bugs. It's just it's a really nice voluntary system there. I kind of enjoyed watching this play out. It could have gone in a completely different direction, and it's really up in the air whether it would have gone that direction. It's all game theory, but very interested to see how this played out. But Zach, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I mean, there were some carrots at play, but there was also the threat of a pretty big stick. I think some reporting indicated that, had he not turned white hat, the cops would have been called, and that negative, that disincentive from the off-chain world would have been brought into play. So it's interesting to see how those two things interact. But I'm going to kick it to Will for the last word before we jump.
Yeah, really quick. I'm just surprised by Naomi's comment because I think part of this whole story is that decentralized finance isn't truly decentralized in a sense, and the fact that you also can't offload your cryptocurrency as easily as one may want it to be. If it's truly supposed to be digital cash in some sort of sense, then this experiment shows that it really isn't.